This is going to come from the heart. It's not going to be the introduction that Terri truly deserves. Our word today is vision. And when we thought about vision, Terri White was the first name that came to mind. She is a woman of passion and singular vision, a vision of how history can be approached in Charlotte in new ways. She's worked in some of America's best and most beloved museums, and she is now here in Charlotte as the president and CEO of the Charlotte Museum of History. Raise your hand if you've been to the Charlotte Museum of History before. She will change that today. If you have not been, you will go because she will inspire you to go. I'm ashamed to say that before I got to know Terri, I had only been to the museum one time. Thankfully, we are now partners with them and I go over there frequently. But what struck me from the moment I met her was her light, her passion, her energy, her infectious nature, but her unwavering commitment to sharing the history of our community in different ways. It's been written by singular voices for too long. New voices need to join the chorus, new perspectives, new ways to look at our community. From the minute that we met, very shortly after, I was like, I got you. And she said back to me, I got your back too. And we've been kind of ride or die since. I am incredibly honored to share her with you today. Matt and I both are. And with that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to the amazing Terri White, one of my favorite people. And I promise you after today, she will be yours as well. Terri White of the Charlotte Museum of History.
No pressure. No pressure. So, good morning. So after all that, I really hope I'm not boring. My Lord. So I do want to start first of all, Tim, thank you so much. It's always weird to hear those kind of things about yourself because it's like, ooh, I'm just kind of doing me. But Tim is honestly one of the first people that when I started this job that I connected with, and we really are ride or die, have each other's backs, because he is one of the few handful of people that will get me out of my house to be somewhere at 8 o'clock in the morning, because I am not a morning person. And my team will tell you, I usually don't get to work till 10 o'clock. So Tim, the power of Tim. If you don't have Tim or a Tim-like person in your life, find one. So to get started, I'll just do a brief intro. Hi, I'm Terri White. I'm the president and CEO of the Charlotte Museum of History. I'll move back because there are people behind me. When I was approached about doing this talk, I said, well, there's really two main things that I really want to impress upon people. One is I am not a historian. When you come into me, unless it's something that I just personally nerd out about, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just going to be totally honest. I am not a historian, not a professional trained one anyway. So the irony of me being head of a history museum is not lost on me. But two is that a lot of people hear the title president and CEO. She must be the boss. No, it's a lot. Oh, am I blocking the vision? I don't want, okay, someone's in the light, but that's okay. It's a lot less sexy in real life than it seems. So I wanted to talk about just one, how I got here, and two, what this role really is and how it impacts all of us, not just me as an individual, but everyone who has any form of leadership in this creative arts and humanities community of Charlotte. So with that, quick pitches for the museum before I get into me. We also hope that while you finish your networking in the morning, you will join us tomorrow for our inaugural Hispanic Heritage Celebration. We will have more than 21 countries represented at the museum. It's totally free, so there's no admission tomorrow, so you can come see our exhibits, one of which is up for an award for Charlotte's Best Exhibit, Open Wide the Door, the story of Mary Cardwell Dawson and the National Negro Opera Company. You can also come see the beloved Siloam School, the restored Roosevelt era schoolhouse, and the oldest home in Mecklenburg County, which turns 250 years old this month, the Alexander Rock House. So all that tomorrow. We'll see you there, and I'll remember all your faces. So if you haven't looked up, this is a picture of me. And I wanted to share this as a sort of an intro to who I am, to show that I've always been a little bit extra. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, PA. So for all of, oh, we have a Pittsburgher? Hey, we'll talk after. Still a nation. What I always tell people is I do not do Southern subtlety well at all. I'm not demure. That's not me. But I will give you Midwest direct and be sincere and honest and truthful in what I'm saying to you. And it rubs people the wrong way, and it's fine. You know, you'll live. But I wanted to show that even since a little girl, I have always been this way. So this isn't a show. This isn't an act. This is my genuine personality. And this little girl, I don't know if you can tell, that's a chain link fence. This was not the best neighborhood to live in. I'm from the Hill District of Pittsburgh. For reference, that's the neighborhood August Wilson wrote about. I actually have a lot of family ties to him, but it was an area that if you were from that community, your life was predetermined for you by much of the people around you. Oh, you're from here and you're poor and you have a single mom. Oh yeah, this is what your life is going to be. And as you can tell, I have always been one to say, I don't think so. I'm going to do something different. And so we can go to the next photo. I also wanted to show this photo. This is from 1993, 10 years old. You can do the math on how old I am. This is me at the Carnegie Museum of Art. And I put this up to show that when I tell people I have always loved museums, I'm not just speaking hyperbole. This is true. This is 10-year-old Terri drawing downtown Pittsburgh. For my Pittsburgh friend, there's the Kaufman's clock there, if you can see it. And this has always been a lifelong thing. I've always loved this field. It just never seemed like a viable career option. So at different points in my life, I've said I wanted to be a classical clarinetist, a children's book author. There's me playing clarinet in college. A Egyptologist and archaeologist, and then I realized I don't like bugs, so that wasn't going to work out. And any number of things, a corporate attorney. You know, when you're a kid, you come up with all kinds of crazy ideas of what your life is going to be like. So we're going to skip middle school and high school because those are the dark years. We don't talk about those. But I ended up at Howard University. This is a picture of me at marching band. You know? Yes. I actually remember this game perfectly. We were sadly playing Hampton, losing terribly. It was like 52-2, guys. It was pretty sad. So when you're in the ensemble that is tasked with keeping people excited and your team is losing 52-2, listen, you got to put a smile on and just hang out with your friends at that point. And so was in DC, and then if we want to go to the next photo, graduated, barely, but I got out. There we go. That's me in corporate America. I worked in finance and banking, started at Chevy Chase Bank. I was an assistant branch manager. I went into some other financial banking things. And then who remembers what happened in 2007? Yeah. I was like, so wait a minute. You mean my job performance? This is already a boring job, but my job performance is based on other people's credit? I don't like that. So if there was something I could do to change my life and get out of this industry, because you are playing in my face if you think I'm not going to get paid because somebody else's money is messed up, what would I do? And I thought back to those years when I was a little kid in the museum, excited about field trips. That's where I want to go. And in being in DC, well, what museum is in DC? Well, yes, all of them. The Smithsonian. So I started at Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. This is actually not at the Smithsonian, though. I tried my hardest to find pictures from there, and I am horrible about getting in photos. So I just had a bunch of pictures of planes. This is not, it wouldn't really paint the picture. But I worked at Smithsonian for another of years. Eventually went back home to Pittsburgh to take care of my grandmother. She had dementia. So if you're a caregiver, we can commiserate to the side because it is not an easy road to care for someone born in 1922. Who are you to tell her what she needs to do? And you think I'm sassy? She was far worse than me. So this is me actually at the Heinz History Center, and I put this up because this is when I was kind of in my element. Heinz History Center is the largest history museum in Pennsylvania. It was just named the #1 museum in America for now. And this was at one of our events. I was always into the dressing up and wearing costumes. It was between this and a picture of me dressed as a giant green crayon that I was going to share. And I went with this one because this one makes a little more sense without context. I do, just as a side on this, I love to talk about this. The pose that I'm doing, the double V movement, was started by the Pittsburgh Courier during World War II. And it was a movement that really was to advocate for African American soldiers who fought overseas during World War II, but then were coming home and being subjected to racism and discrimination. So the double V movement, that's 2 V's, not peace signs, was to highlight that these soldiers deserve to fight for victory both abroad and at home. And that was a huge movement that was circulated throughout the network of hundreds of Black newspapers in the country at that time. And this was an event that was highlighting, we had a World War II exhibit up. So I just want to share that little nugget. So there are little bits of history I know. But then I reached a ceiling where, I had all this education and this experience, but I ended up training people who were surpassing me. And I said, now wait a minute. I think every creative in here knows we don't get paid a whole lot of money. So if I am not going to get paid well, and I'm not going to get career advancement, well, I'm going to leave this field altogether. And then we can go to the next picture. And I'm going to go get an MBA. And that's what I did. I went to University of Pittsburgh. I got my MBA. My focus was on operations, finance, and management. This is me at the last day of my internship at Honeywell in Texas, Houston, Texas. If you want to know what all that stuff is, we can talk afterwards, but it brought back fond memories. And I worked in supply chain technology. There is a story to how I got there, but I won't share it today because it's been a long morning. And I said, I'm going to corporate America me. Absolutely. I doubled the amount of money I was working. I moved here to Charlotte. I started working at Lowe's. And then the pandemic hit. And I was here by myself, no family. All my friends are like around the country. So we had the internet, but it was just me in my house and I had one dog at the time, me and my dog, that was it. And I started to realize, this job isn't as exciting as I thought it would be. I love getting paid. Tech money is great. Great. But I hate this job. I don't want to hang out with my friends and say, I took my project from yellow to green. What's the 5 mean? 5 minutes. Oh, that means Terri, hurry up. Okay, my bad. So anyway, I'll summarize that and say that I told my best friend, if a job opens up in Charlotte where I can go back to museums, but not take a complete vow of poverty, I would go ahead and do that. And the long story there is, this was that job. So this is how I got here. So let me just very quickly, because I didn't know I was on the time limit, my bad. Let me just tell you guys what a CEO is not. A CEO is not the boss. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I am beholden to my stakeholders, my staff, which I see here. Oh my God, I hope someone's at the museum. Community members, all of you. It's a very fragile ecosystem. In our society today, you put up the wrong panel about the wrong person and someone takes it the wrong way. Now I got a PR moment. And to be in the center of that, More so than a pyramid where everyone's at the base and I'm sitting at the top. It's more like a very complex Venn diagram where everyone's overlapping and I'm dead center, trying to navigate all of these circles in a direction that I need them to move in to advance the museum. A CEO is not the expert and ultimate decider. Again, if you come up to me and start talking about the MEC deck, my eyes are going to glaze over and I'm just going to say, okay, wow, thanks. If you come to me, oh, I have this really great exhibit idea. Wonderful. I can't do anything with that, but great. I can connect you to the team member who can. I, at least in my personal leadership style, I do not lead the museum with an iron fist that it's my way or die. There's no way to get good results out of people. Finally, being a CEO is not the resting place for ego. Let me tell you, you are not the most important person in the room. And you probably aren't even the smartest person in the room. There have been plenty of times where my team will get started about something. Taylor Swift, let me tell you, I have 2 team members who have taught me more about Taylor Swift than I ever thought I wanted to know. Ever. But even talking about historical time periods and things like that, and the history of how people have engaged with us, you cannot be in this position and think that it's all about me. And if you want to be a leader and take it from a position of everyone's going to do whatever I say and I get to be in pictures all the time, that's just not what this is. But what a CEO is a salesperson. If I can't get all of you excited about Charlotte Museum of History, and I hope you are just a little bit, then I am not doing my job. You know, my team works very, very hard. We're the terrific 10. And we are doing the work of museums with staff 2, 3, 10 times the size of ours. And if I can't get you excited to come and see the fruits of their labor, then I am failing as a leader. We are foundation builders. Again, team members, programs, community engagement, succession planning, because I don't plan on dying in office. Someone will take this job from me. But we're also in charge of all the boring stuff, the accounting, measuring depreciation. I personally love pricing strategy. It's kind of my jam. So if you ever want to talk pricing, I'd love to. But we also work on theories, and there are a few business theories that I want to share. Does anyone know what sunk cost theory is? Oh, good. There's been spaces where I get blank looks. So for those who may be shy, sunk costs is no matter how much time, energy, or effort you put into something, you're never going to get that back. So if it's not working, just move on. It's okay. You're not going to get the resources back. So pivot when you can. Naive extrapolation theory. Okay. Decision makers extrapolate past performance trends to the expectations of future performance. That's actually something CMH is going through now. What it basically means is because of what happened in the past, that's how I'm going to judge your future. And in the past, we were not an inclusive museum. We were very ivory tower-ish. We were very exclusive. It was for a very specific economic and racial class that would engage with us. And to this day, I still hear terrible experiences that people had from that time. But the work that myself and my teammates are doing are to change that. We'll skip that one for time purposes. But if you want to talk business theories, I'm here all day. In a town of finance and tech bros, I still don't understand how 100 banks all have their headquarters here. And yet the arts are confined to just a few institutions. And then we're told, but you all do the same thing. I didn't know checking accounts were that different bank to bank, but no offense. No offense. Don't stop funding me. But in a town full of finance and tech bros who are all about looking at quantitative numbers and bottom lines and efficiency, having someone like me who does the boring stuff is important to make sure that all of you get to be in your lanes and do the fun, creative things that make this a city worth living in. Tomorrow's festival is going to be a great time. Again, I hope I'll see you there. And we have free parking. Free all around. But it's the community impact measures and metrics and all that kind of stuff that I have to report to the government and other corporations to continue to fund it that isn't always as exciting for people to do. So what? Terri, great. You sold up about your job. What does this have to do with me? I think that the biggest thing that being a CEO or co-founders or a leader in any field that we are is that we are culture setters and makers. How do people feel about themselves when they work with you, when they create, when they go out into the world because of your influence? How they feel about themselves is a direct reflection of your leadership. You determine the direction that the ship goes in. And I have 2 Steve Jobs quotes that I like. You can't just ask people what they want and then give it to them, because by the time you get it built, they'll want something new. How many of us have said, oh, right now this particular art trend is really popular, and so you do all of your art and your music and your dance in that field, and then we've moved on to the next thing as a society. How many people, I mean, hey, I'll just pick on the museum. Colonial history. Listen, there is a lane for colonial history. But how many people are left out of the conversation when we don't talk about other people's experiences throughout time? Yes, that's very important. And so I had a lot more to say, but I'll just get basically to the point because I don't want you guys here all day, is be that little girl with the crazy sunglasses dancing around in front of her house. Be bold. Do the crazy thing. Be Midwestern direct. Don't be demure. You're going to get love for it. You're going to get hate for it. There are people that I promise you, if you ask them about me, they will say they hate my guts. And that's fine.
Me too, Terri. Love us too.
Oh, I thought she was saying that she hates me. Like, yikes. Very direct. But the reason why I say that is that that is where you're going to do your most creative things. That is where you're going to really shake up the way Charlotte does things. That's how you move forward. That's how you innovate. When you push against what is standard, what is accepted, what is normal, and do something different, regardless of the limitations that people put on you. And allow boring people like me to help with the back end so that you can run free and make this a beautiful place for all of us. So thank you so much. Please come see us.